Hello everyone, this is Dalster and welcome to another episode review for Dark Side of the Ring, and in this review I will go over the FMW company. It has been a long time since I watched this episode, but all I could remember is that it was in a way similar to ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, probably more dangerous than ECW. I'll go over the episode first and give my thoughts at the end. When you watch the short opening of Dark Side of the Ring, you can see an explosion at the end of it, which I think is a tribute to FMW. FMW stood for Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling Explosion. Atsushi Onita was the FMW founder. He was inspired by pro wrestling because of a comic called Giant Typhoon, based on Japanese wrestler Giant Baba. As a fan of Giant Baba, Atsushi liked that Japanese wrestler character in a comic book wrestled in Madison Square Garden, New York. At the time, Japan's wrestling was very popular due to wrestling stars such as Giant Baba being in All Japan Pro Wrestling and Antonio Inoki being in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Terry and Dory Funk were also very popular wrestlers during the Japanese wrestling era. Atsushi started out in All Japan as a high flyer and a disciple for Giant Baba. When you're starting out as a Japanese wrestler, you have to go through apprenticeships in order to travel to the US, which is something Atsushi wanted to do. He loved watching Terry Funk and was inspired by him. Lucky for Onita, he was able to live with Terry. Terry thought that Atsushi was nuts when they first met. They were unable to communicate with each other but were able to make it work somehow. Terry also was able to help Atsushi get a job and a used car. Once Atsushi began to travel, he arrived at Amarillo as he was recovering from an injury that he got from the Dominican Republic because he refused to lose to an opponent that he deemed of lower rank or inferior. Atsushi was taught a lesson by a wrestling promoter and got beat up by him and a group of guys. Eventually, Atsushi and his protege, Masafuchi, went to Memphis, Tennessee and battled at the Tupelo Concession Stand Brawl in 1981. During his stay in Tennessee, Atsushi got inspired by hardcore wrestling. Atsushi liked how the audience would participate in the matches as well. In one hardcore wrestling match, a woman from the crowd kicked Atsushi in the face with her heels, causing him to get a bloody nose. He then realized that hardcore wrestling triggered excitement for the people. Later on, Atsushi went back to All Japan Pro Wrestling, where he got himself into a freak accident. What happened was that Atsushi landed on his knee and had one of his bones stick out. His kneecap had unfortunately gotten shattered. It seemed as though Atsushi's wrestling career was over as he started working at odd jobs after he recovered from the injury, but he soon came back to wrestle and challenged karate champion at the time, Masashi Aoyagi, in brutal matches. The fans during the Onita and Aoyagi matches clashed with one another and it drew a massive crowd. Onita was able to win the final round against Aoyagi and had an idea of creating a hardcore wrestling promotion that he called Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, FMW. Atsushi had an idea for his promotion so that the audiences would leave shocked. As a kid growing up, he got hurt one day in a place that had barbed wire and was afraid of it. Onita liked to push things further into his promotion, even when it came to getting injuries. Mick Foley said in the episode that when he saw a show at FMW with female wrestlers facing each other, one of them blew a fireball at the other, causing that female wrestler's wrestling attire to burn her skin. He also said that the female wrestler was crying since her attire was burning her skin really bad. One of the FMW wrestlers named Ricky Fuji was able to bring in more wrestlers to the promotion. In FMW, Atsushi would bleed and push himself for the audience, such as getting burned or be electrocuted so that he could get the respect from the FMW audience. Mick thought that Onita was going to die in the ring because of everything Onita had put himself through. Sabu, who wrestled for FMW as well, said in the episode that working with barbed wire sucks, since he got lots of stitches from one of the barbed wire matches. He showed us the scars that he got from those matches that he still has since this episode had aired. In one FMW match, it went horribly wrong one day when Onita and a wrestler named Tarzan Goto faced the Sheik, not the Iron Sheik, and Sabu in a fire match in the year of 1992. The Sheik was Sabu's uncle. In the match, the flames were so big that Onita said that he and the wrestlers could hardly breathe. The wrestlers were able to escape as the flames had gotten bigger, but the Sheik was unable to get out. He unfortunately got his skin burned by 60% and the skin on his back had come off. Onita eventually got a little greedy as he was getting very rich with the promotion on the rise. He then gets associated with a Japanese mob called Yakuza, who would get themselves involved with wrestling shows. The mob were said to have no pinky fingers. Sabu said in the episode that he got beaten up by the Yakuza mob one time. Mike Awesome was able to help Sabu get away from the mob by beating them up. Atsushi invited his hero Terry Funk for an exploding death match. Terry said yes, as the stadium for their match was filled from 30,000 to 40,000 people. Onita and Terry faced each other as Onita said in the episode that, at the moment, he felt like a god as he won his match against Funk. Because Terry had lost the match, the ring was supposed to explode on him, but Atsushi decided to save Terry from the explosion, making Atsushi become face. FMW was at one point in the top of its game in Japan during the 80s, as it was number 3. Even Atsushi's popularity grew as he was featured in game shows, TV dramas, and other types of shows in Japan. The matches in FMW were very intense, as there were explosions and barbed wires placed in the ring instead of the regular ropes you see on TV. There was one wrestler who was in an electric chair, as well as an electrified pool. 5 years after creating FMW, Atsushi decided to retire and fans were shocked as he had enough for now. Onita continued to headline shows for another full year until his successor, Hayabusa, started getting more attention. Hayabusa's real name was Eiji Izaki, who was known for his moonsaults. At FMW's 6th anniversary show, Onita had his final match in 1995 with special effects included in it. Onita said in the episode that he felt bad for Hayabusa as Hayabusa was not the right guy for death matches. Atsushi, however, was able to win his last match, but cried hysterically as he told people to never let him wrestle again. When Atsushi left, his successor, who was going to fill in the FMW president role, was going to be FMW ring announcer Shoichi Arai. Sadly for Atsushi, Shoichi did not know what he was doing. Terry said that Onita didn't give Arai much to do. Once the 90s were around, the new FMW started to lose their audience. In less than a year, Onita returned to FMW after an unsuccessful movie career. He came back as a heel and wanted the new FMW wrestlers to face the old FMW wrestlers. Atsushi and Hayabusa would also butt heads as part of the storyline. Arai then hired a veteran Japanese wrestler named Hiromichi Fuyuki in order to handle the company's creative direction. Things did not work well between the FMW wrestlers and Fuyuki, as he wanted to do a more entertaining type of wrestling. He then created a belt called the World Entertainment Wrestling title and stopped doing death matches. Onita said in the episode that the FMW direction was not going well with Fuyuki. Atsushi also mentioned that Arai wanted him to quit FMW, which he ended up doing by kicking out Atsushi. On October 22nd, 2001, Hayabusa did a second moonsault in a match, but landed on his forehead, as it looked brutal in the clip, and was not able to get up from the mat. The commentator in the clip was shouting Hayabusa's name in a worrisome manner. Ricky said that Hayabusa was like a brother to him. Hayabusa ended up being paralyzed and became depressed as he loved to wrestle, but can no longer do so. FMW never found another wrestler who could attract attention in order for the promotion to succeed. They eventually started losing money, so Arai had to borrow money from loan sharks. He unfortunately was not able to pay the Yakuza mob, causing his wife to scream and get really scared for her life, as she had to divorce Arai for her safety. Sabu said that he did not get paid for his work as Arai had taken his own life by hanging himself in a schoolyard when his family unfortunately had to pay for Arai's loans. But Atsushi and the others thought that what Shoichi did was cowardly and was also a loser for taking his own life. Life insurance was not able to pay for Arai's debt, so his family ended up losing their home as the mafia stole everything from his wife and daughter, Shell. Onita said that Arai failed FMW and also blames him for his own debt, not the mafia or the loan sharks. Shell thinks that Onita used her dad. A decade later, FMW gets back on track, as Onita returns to the ring and Hayabusa becomes executive producer. Sadly, a year later, Hayabusa collapsed at his home and died at the age of 47. Before he passed away, Hayabusa was able to walk again, as his daughter Ayan said that he would put on a brave face during his time in rehabilitation. Onita, at the end, thinks that he made hardcore wrestling better. At the end of the episode, Terry flipped his fingers when asked what he thought about Atsushi, but he still cared about him. Chris Jericho, who is the narrator for the Dark Side of the Ring episodes since season 2, said that he worked 2 tours for FMW. He also worked with Hayabusa and was moonsaulted by him. Interviewers for this episode are Mick Foley, Sabu, Chris Jericho, Terry Funk, Atsushi Onita, FMW founder, Riki Fuji, Ayan Ezaki, Hayabusa's daughter, and Shell, Shoichi Arai's daughter. Years since this episode had aired, Terry Funk passed away on August 23rd, 2023. Some facts about FMW and the other people involved with this episode are that FMW had a small working agreement with ECW in the 90s. FMW tried to reinvent itself for many years, such as being called Cho Sentu Purorisu in 2015, and then FMW Explosion, or FMWE, as said by Atsushi in 2021. Alumni for FMW were Bryan Danielson, who used the American Dragon name back then, Axel Rotten, Balls Mahoney, Bam Bam Bigelow, Big Van Vader, Bull Nakano, Cactus Jack, also known as Mick Foley, Chris Candido, Chris Jericho, the Dudley Boys, Dory Funk Jr., Jimmy Snuka, Ken Shamrock, Kevin Sullivan, Lance Cade, Lance Storm, Jacqueline, who was known as Sweet Georgia Brown in FMW, Super Crazy, Raven, Rey Mysterio Sr., Bertha Faye, who was known as Rhonda Singh in FMW, RVD, The Rock and Roll Express, Sabu, The Sandman, Shane Douglas, Shawn Michaels, Tommy Dreamer, and Tajiri. But those are the ones that I know, as there were a lot more. Atsushi is semi-retired and is 67 years old. He started in All Japan Pro Wrestling first. Besides Terry Funk, Atsushi was trained by Giant Baba, Dick Beyer, and Masao Koma. Even though he became a popular deathmatch wrestler, Atsushi never graduated from high school. Onita had an alter ego called the Great Nita, based and stylized by the Great Muta. Although Atsushi dropped out of high school, he eventually graduated in his late 30s. In 2001, Atsushi won the 19th House of Councilors election and was a representative for the Liberal Democratic Party. He joined Antonio Inoki and Hiroshi Hayes in the Japanese Diet. Atsushi did a post-9/11 humanitarian mission for Afghanistan, where he did wrestling matches. Supposedly, Atsushi slept with over 20,000 women, a record that basketball player Wilt Chamberlain did first. Atsushi got out of politics due to a sex scandal alleging that he used government accommodations in order to host a threesome. He lent his name and image to a Nintendo DS game called Atsushi Onita's Political Quiz. Aside from FMW and All Japan Pro Wrestling, Atsushi was also in Continental Wrestling Association, Empresa Mexicana de Lucha Libre, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, Onita Pro, Pro Wrestling 01, and Wrestling Association R. In All Japan Pro Wrestling, he won the All Asia Tag Team titles 3 times and the NWA International Junior Heavyweight title. At Continental Wrestling Association, he won the AWA Southern Tag Team title 3 times, all with Masanobu Fuchi. At Empresa Mexicana de Lucha Libre, Atsushi won the NWA International Junior Heavyweight title again at that promotion. Atsushi won numerous titles at FMW, such as the FMW Brass Knuckles Heavyweight title 7 times, the FMW Brass Knuckles Tag Team title 4 times, the FMW World Street Fight 6-Man Tag Team title 4 times, the US title 1 time, won the Barbed Wire Deathmatch tournament in 1991, won the World's Strongest Tag Team Tournament in 1992 with Tarzan Goto, won the Street Fight Tag Team Tournament in 1992 with Grigory Verichev, and the 6-Man Tag Team Tournament in 1994 with Tarzan Goto and Sambu Asako. In Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, he won the NWA title for the third time, making him win the title in 3 different promotions. Somehow Atsushi went to a promotion that has his last name, called Onita Pro, and won the Barbed Wire Street Fight 6-man tag team title twice. At Pro Wrestling 01, he won the Blast King Championship title 3 times, and the Blast King tag team title once with Chigusa Nagayo. In Wrestling Association R, he won a 6-man tag team tournament in 1994. Atsushi has won a lot of awards and rankings, such as being number 43 out of 500 best singles wrestlers in the PWI 500 in 1999 for Pro Wrestling Illustrated, as well as number 123 out of 500 best singles wrestlers in 2003. As for the awards, he got many of them from Tokyo Sports, such as Best Tag Team Award in 2015, Best Effort Award in 1979, Match of the Year twice in 1990 and in 1994. Fighting Spirit Award in 2014, Outstanding Performance Award in 1991, Special Award in 1989, Topic Award in 1991, and Wrestler of the Year in 1990. He also got awards for Wrestling Observer newsletters in Most Disgusting Promotional Tactic in 1990 for stabbing Jose Gonzalez, Best Babyface in 1993 and 1994, Most Charismatic in 1994, and Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame for the class of 1996. I give this episode a 7 out of 10, as it was a little interesting but somewhat graphic. It's insane how much FMW were able to get away with putting the wrestlers in really tough situations. I'm surprised no one died, but I think it was really crazy, especially with the barbed wire and the explosions. I do feel pretty bad for Shell, since she blames Atsushi for her father's actions, which I get because it's her father. Atsushi seems like a serious but very daring guy who likes to shock his audiences. Overall, it was okay. I'm just shocked with the crazy matches they have done in the past, especially that electric chair as seen in the episode. That's all I have for today, but thank you guys for watching this video. Comment, like, or subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you next time. Take care of your mental health and everyone around you, and I'll do the same too. Bye guys.